Hey guys, it's Blayde again from Car Audio Security, and today we've got a brand new product from Kenwood, the DMX9724XDS. Now this is the successor to the 9720XDS, which was a very popular model and very similar. Now this is the newer version of this product, so we've got it all laid out on the table. Let's go through it. So on the table, we've got all the accessories you'd find in the box. So first of all, we have this here. So this is the pre-out plug. So this goes into the back of the unit, and then this allows you to add all of your aftermarket amplifiers and whatnot. So these are a 5-volt pre-out on this unit. So you've got front, rear and subwoofer output, and also an audio input. Next, you've got the standard issue Kenwood microphone. That just plugs into the back of the unit, and then you can clip that up onto your sun visor or headliner. Next up, you get a little bag of screws. That is to basically mount the screen to the body, and we'll talk about that a bit more later, but you get all the screws and accessories for that. Next, you have a GPS antenna. Now, this has to be installed to allow the CarPlay to work, the wireless CarPlay. Gives you a much more accurate location. Next, you have the video input plugs. So again, this plugs into the back of the unit. This also does have grounding loops that you screw onto the back of the unit. Gives you a much stronger signal, less interference. And then you have all of the inputs. So you've got a video output, and then you've got the camera input. So you've got rear view, front view, and a third view, and a video input. Lastly, you have this plate here. This just sits on the back of the unit. So once it's all installed, this slides on the back, hides away all the ugly screws and stuff like that, clips on the back of the unit, makes everything look nice and neat. And then lastly, for the accessories, you've got the main loom. So this plugs into the back of the unit again, and then this goes to the standard issue ISO, which is universal across the board for all the Japanese brands. And then you would use your adapter to go from your vehicle to this plug. And then lastly, the most important bit, you've got the unit itself. So now this unit is a separate body to screen setup. So you've got the brain of this setup here, which has these leads, and then you've got the screen. So let's first of all talk about the body of the unit. Now, the previous generation, it was a fixed setup and was a doubled-in chassis. So they've separated the body of the unit to make ease of installation. So you can actually fit this almost anywhere in the vehicle. There is a extension plug here, so you can plug that into the back of the unit, and there is an option to be able to extend this even further. I believe it's up to 1.5 meters. So that plugs in, and then you can extend it. So that way, if you don't have the ability to fit the screen and the body in the same place, you can actually hide this away somewhere. And it even has the ability to be mounted vertically or horizontally without any issues. Now, as well as this, on the back of the unit, you've got all the connections. So we've got your standard FM AM antenna input. So this is just your standard DIN connection. Nothing's changed there. So this is your input here for a UART interface, which is basically the Kenwood specific fitting kit to allow you to have steering wheel controls that would plug directly in there. Next up, you have your DAB antenna. It's a standard SMB DAB antenna there. Then you've got the remote inputs. That's for additional steering wheel controls. If you're not using a UART interface, if it's a standard patch lead setup, then that would plug in there. Microphone input is there, 3.5mm jack. This is where you would connect your Kenwood specific dash cam. So that is their Kenwood model dash cam that you can purchase and then view the footage from the dash cam directly through that plug. Next to that, you have your audio inputs and outputs. It says audio I/O. That's for this plug here. That plugs into the back of the unit, and then you have your outputs there. So if you're not using any aftermarket amplifiers or any audio outputs from the unit, you don't have to have that plugged in. It just makes installation that little bit easier. And then you've got your video inputs and outputs just there. That is for the same thing, but for video. Again, if you're not using it, you don't have to have that plugged in. This one you do have to have plugged in. This is the GPS antenna. So again, that's that plug, grey plug here, that plugs in. That has been changed from the last model, slightly slimmer plug. But in terms of actual usability, it's exactly the same. Now over this end, this is where things start to change. This port here is for a toslink cable or optical output. So if you're using a high-end audio amplifier, so something like a DSP or anything that would use optical input, you have that option on this unit, which is a really nice feature to see with this. Obviously means that this unit is going to be compatible with very high-end audio systems. So you have that option there. This plug here is just your general power output, as I explained earlier. That's your main power loom. This long cable here is your USB-C. So they've changed the output from USB-A to the USB-C. This is also fast charging as well. So this is on like a 1 meter cable. You can run that around to your glove box or center console, wherever you want to put that. And it does also come with an adapter to go from USB-C to USB-A if you don't have that functionality. And then lastly, on the side here, you have HDMI input. So if you're using something like a PlayStation or Xbox or Amazon Fire Stick, they have an HDMI input availability, but please bear in mind this is micro HDMI, so you will need most likely an adapter for whatever you're using. Now next, we've got the actual screen itself. So this is the screen that's available for this model. This is a 10.1 inch HD compatible screen. So it's a 720p display, 10.1 inch across, and then you've got all your functional buttons along the bottom. It's nice to see they keep the nice big volume knob in the middle, and a lot of people like the actual feel of a volume knob rather than buttons. I know I do. And it's also a clickable button as well, so you can turn the unit off through that. Along the bottom, you've got the main kind of function buttons. So you've got your home button, you've got your camera button, you've got skip tracks, and also menu button. And then you've got a multifunction kind of quick access button here. And then you've got a voice command button here. So you can use Siri or Google, click on that. If your phone's connected for CarPlay and Android Auto, click that down and that will activate Siri or Google. And then on the back of the unit, not much to look at really, but you've got the option here. This is the bracket that allows the unit to be mounted directly to the body if you're mounting it like that. Or this bracket can be taken off and you can mount it to a fixed point inside the vehicle. It still allows you to adjust the height. So you've got the screws down the side here, so you can adjust the height. It lifts up and goes down like that. And then you can adjust the angle of the screen as well, so you can pivot it back and forth like so. And also, if you are mounting it to the body itself, you have the ability now with this model to be able to not just mount it in the middle like this, you can mount it over to one side or the other. So if you have something that's kind of in the way or obstructing it, you have the option to make it sit like this, or sit in the middle. So as well as being physically different as the 9720, this has a slightly different UI in there, and there's a lot of other features in this unit that is a step above the 9720. So what we're going to do, we actually have a customer's vehicle downstairs that has a factory head unit. We're going to upgrade this to the 9724. So we're going to show you the process of that and also show you what the differences are between the stock head unit and upgrading to something like this, the brand new Kenwood unit. Let's take it downstairs. Right, so we're in this customer's very nice, very high spec T6.1. And just thought I'd show you what comes in as standard. So this being a high spec T6.1, this is the MIB3 units. This is actually the best that basically Volkswagen have to offer, but we still have a lot of complaints with it. So this does have wireless CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, all that kind of stuff, but we see a lot of, or hear of a lot of issues with the CarPlay dropping out. And I know especially the audio output on these is not amazing at all. I think it's just like a 7-inch or 7.5-inch model, which is in here. So obviously massive upgrade for screen size, but screen quality as well is going to be improved. You've got much better audio quality with this unit. And then when you put this screen in place, you can see the difference in size of the screen. And obviously going from a 7 to a 10.1 inch, and this being an HD screen as well, massive improvement. So let's let the technicians install this brand new Kenwood head unit. We'll come back once it's all done, we'll show you how it all works. Okay, so the installation is now complete. We have the head unit installed in the vehicle. And I must say, it looks really, really good. Basically, once it's installed, this is pretty much the same as the 9720XDS, but obviously with that singled in format. So we do have a pocket at the back of the unit. We've opted to mount the unit lower down, so we not really have access of the pocket, but you could tilt the unit forward and use it if need be. But obviously the main difference in terms of the units is that optical output, that HDMI, and the USB-C option. So we've got the USB-C hooked up to the factory USB-C point in the car. Really, really nice looking unit, nice and bright, very, very good HD quality screen. So we now have an iPhone connected, just a different layout basically. So you've got all of your apps available there, and you can go into Waze. You can still do that split screen setup as before, and you can go into all the same different apps that you can do with Android. It's just laid out slightly differently, that's all. And a really nice thing to have on this, which works on both devices, iPhone and Android, is what you used to have to do is, if let's say you wanted DAB in the background and you wanted your maps on the screen, you'd have to come out of CarPlay, go into DAB, change your channel, go back into CarPlay, rah-de-rah-de-rah. So you don't have to do that anymore. They've created a semi-split screen setup, so you can have your maps on one side, and then you can choose what source that you want on the right. So let's say I want digital radio, I can change my channel, whatever I want on the background, and then still have my Apple CarPlay or Android Auto on there. So it's a really, really nice feature to see. And then you can go back into the full screen if needed. So another nice feature with this unit is compatible with the Kenwood HD rear camera. So we've got that hooked up on this van, so you can just hit cam, and then you've got that HD rear camera showing us the messy back of the workshop. It is also compatible with vehicle info, so if you use an info adapter, you can have the vehicle information on the screen as well. Other things with this unit, this is obviously a very, very high sound quality unit, so you can use this if you're building a high audio quality system. Obviously you've got that Toslink output on the back of the unit, or the optical output if you want to call it that. It is also compatible with wireless LDAC streaming, so unfortunately I don't think that's available on iPhones still, but newer Android phones you can stream wireless LDAC, so it's basically lossless audio. It's really nice to see that that's wireless, so that's a really nice feature on this unit. And you do also have loads of audio settings that you can go through. So you can go into audio, you've got all the different audio settings you'd like. So you've got 3 different crossover settings for front, rear and subwoofer. You've got a standard graphic EQ 13 band that you can adjust as needed, but there is also a parametric EQ. So if you're going to go into sound effects and go and turn parametric EQ on, you can then go into setup and adjust all of that as need be. So you can set that for front, rear, sub, or common across the board. So you can do that if need be. Let's just put that back to flat. You could do like high pass, shelving, low pass, whatever you need to do. It's all on there, and that'll basically take over the graphic EQ that you've set. As well as that, you've got loads of audio sound effects that you can adjust. So stage EQ, drive equalizer, space enhancement, loudness, supreme realizer, all of those kind of things. Very, very common setup on Kenwood units. It's a really, really big difference that these kind of adjustments make, especially stuff like space enhancement, especially for a van like this. If you set that to medium or large, it gives a general feel of a larger cabin, or a more spatial sound. So it's really, really nice to have. Stage EQ is very good for lifting the sound stage up. So if everything sounds a bit muddy, or if it's a bit down low, you can drive it up a little bit and it sounds like it's sitting a lot higher. So it's quite nice to see. As well as that, you've got time alignment you can adjust. So you've got general listening position, or you can adjust it and do proper time alignment and do measurements and stuff like that. Balance and fader is standard. You've got volume offset, so you can change how loud each different source is. So if you want Apple CarPlay to be a bit louder than your radio, for instance, or vice versa, you can change all of that, scroll through and adjust that as needed. And you've also got audio memory, so you can clear a memory or save a memory or recall anything if you need to. And you can also lock it as well, so if you don't want your kids playing around with the audio settings, you can lock all of that. But another really nice thing that the old unit used to have, and they've kept it on this unit, is wireless mirroring for Android phones. So I can show you that very quickly. On my phone, if I scroll down, Smart View. So if you tap on Smart View and then go into wireless mirroring on here, give it a second, it should come up. There you go, look, 9724XDS. Tap on there, start now, give it a second to pair up. There you go. So this gives you an exact mirror of your phone screen. So you can go onto YouTube, Netflix, you can actually control the phone from here and do what you need to. But obviously that is only available on Android phones, unfortunately. And you can also change the aspect ratio and the axis. So let's say I wanted to put on a YouTube video. Let's go Cast TV, latest video, and turn the phone on the side like this. Let's wait for this advert to finish. Skip that. There we go. We're watching Palm talking about the ID Buzz. And you can go in, you can change the quality, So you can change that to 4K. So you've got a really nice quality on the screen. And you can skip through. And obviously all the sound
kind of get used to.
Still comes out all of the speakers. So it's a really, really nice function to have if you've got an Android phone. Now you can also do this on an iPhone, but it's only wired, unfortunately. So you have to do that through the HDMI, which, as I said previously, does have that HDMI input. So if you buy an adapter for your phone, if you're running iPhone, you can have that. And as you can see, it's also playing in the background on that home screen as well. Another nice new feature on this unit is it has a pitch and yaw display. So if you're using this in an off-road vehicle and you'd like a pitch and yaw display on your vehicle, you have it on this. And it does work. So if I give the van a rock, you should be able to see that's moving. And if I give the unit a wobble like that, you can see the pitch is changing. And you can actually zero it on here as well. So if you mount the unit and it's a little bit skew with and it's showing it slightly off, you just hit that to zero it, and then that's your base level, and then when you're moving around that will all adjust itself. So that's built into the unit. It's a very nice feature. Okay, so that pretty much rounds it up. Just quickly went over the main different features over the previous model, the 9720XDS. This is now the 9724XDS. So a big improvement on the last model, nice new features that they've added. The fact that it's now a singled in kind of modular setup where you can have the body of the unit separate to the screen, which is really nice. The fact that it's just generally singled in opens up a lot more doors for people that don't have a doubled in aperture in their vehicle, but they want a floating screen of this kind of caliber. So it's really, really nice to see that. Now, obviously, remember I said that you can purchase the extension cable for the screen to the body. So if you do not have even a singled in aperture and you want to mount the body or the brain of the unit inside the dash and you just fix the screen somewhere, you can do that. Got that Toslink output or the optical output. That's going to be a really, really good thing to have for if you're using like a DSP or something like that. You've got that optical output to run directly to a DSP and you can do all your tuning from there. And you've got your volume control from the head unit as well. This pitch and yaw thing, very, very cool. Obviously, definitely going to be more something for those off-road kind of guys or someone that's going to be using it for taking it all-terrain. But yeah, definitely a cool little feature to have on there. And that split screen setup with the Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, definitely a good thing. Definitely a benefit to a lot of people. I know I find it quite annoying, the fact that you sometimes have to come out of CarPlay or Android Auto and go into the different menus and then go back into CarPlay. You don't have to do that anymore. You could just do that split screen setup. So this is currently available, just launched in the UK. So it's available on our website, carrowdysecurity.com. We'll put the link in the description below. But that's it from me. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, share and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.